Hey everyone, I'm Blocky Bryson and welcome to today's calm and relaxing Minecraft building tutorial. Today I'll be teaching you some techniques and tricks to build up a whole range of interior plant-based builds and transform the basic Minecraft house into the ultimate plant lover's paradise. And here we have something pretty amazing, a blank wall. Okay, so it's not that amazing, but we can fix that. And so what we're building here are some in-the-wall terrariums, and so kind of one of the things I want to point out with this is we are using the connected textures with Optifine, and that's going to make our 2 tall glass pane spot look pretty good. But if you are just on regular vanilla Minecraft, you could also try just doing this 1 tall and just have a single glass pane, so you don't have to worry so much about that border being in the center. Or you could just even not use the glass at all and just kind of leave the build exposed. I think it would still look pretty good. But anyway, we're pretty much wrapping up the builds here. The final thing I'm doing is just extending up our floor trim to kind of blend it into the builds a little bit better. And once we get that all in place, this is how it should look. And just in case you didn't like that wall decoration so much, here's a few more. So this first one really is a simple one, but I still think it's a pretty nice little clean build. And so on to our next build. This one's pretty similar. It's more of just an elongated version of our first, adding a little bit more detail and a light source to it as well. And also with these builds, I think they look pretty good as interior builds, but I think they could also work pretty nice as an exterior build as well. So maybe if you have a big blank wall on the outside of your house and you want something to add to it, you can maybe add on a few of these and see how that looks. And we got just one more different style, these flower pot type designs. The only other thing I'll mention with these is you could really put a whole range of different plants into these. So we have the grasses, ferns, stuff like that. There's also all the different tree saplings, all the different flowers, well at least the 1 tall flowers. There's even the drip leaves, dead bushes, and just really a whole bunch of things to fill into here. Yeah, with that done, we're going to switch things over from these simple wall decorations to now kind of a full furniture piece. So this one I think is just really cool, a really cozy one, and a little bit itchy, but you'll see what I'm talking about with that. But anyway, let's just get started on this little build. And so far with this build, we're doing what we were doing with our first little wall terrariums, and that's kind of just building up a separated space, a little exterior spot, kind of sticking out from the main build. And the reason we're doing that with this one is to create an excluded little safe place. And you'll see why we're heading in this grid pattern up at the top here in just a second, but with our area fully enclosed, we could start to build up some of the furniture pieces inside here, and so that's going to be a crafting table and barrel bench kind of at the back here for our 3 potted plants, and then in front of those is going to be our 2 cozy little beds. And now here's where things are going to get itchy as well as come to life, and that's by adding in all of our vines up into this grid pattern we made at the top. So we're going to place these in just a random different spots in that grid pattern. We don't want to have too many where you could barely even see into the build at all, but we do want to have enough and kind of them spread around enough to really fill up the build. But yeah, that's going to do it for our little bed hidden in the vines build. And so for our next build, we're going to be doing a full floor design, and we're going to start that off by digging down 3 blocks, so we could have our 3 different layers, 1 for our grass, 1 for our plants, and 1 for our glass. And with our grass blocks done, we pretty much have our foundation to start working on the build. So our next layer up, I'm going to start to do our hedge maze. I'll pretty much just work this to get a pathway that goes fully through the build and just looks pretty nice with lots of different turns and dead ends and different hiding spots. And I'm really liking the way this maze is turning out. The only thing I might suggest adding is just some larger spots in it, so maybe just some 2x2 spots, things like that, just to add some little room type sections to the maze. And also with those lanterns, I was only really placing those at the dead ends, because we want to make sure there's still a pathway to get through the whole build, and you'll see why we want that in just a bit. And now I'm moving on to sealing up our area with our glass blocks because we got all of our different plants in there. So a quick recap of everything I put in there was our lanterns, our grass and ferns and flowers, our glow lichen, moss carpets, and then also a few amethyst crystals. Okay, but anyway, this is where things are going to get really fun with the maze because we're going to load it up with about 8 to 10 little rabbits, and they'll be able to jump around the maze and explore it themselves. And as we walk over the floor, we'll be able to see all these little guys jumping around. And moving on to our next build, you can see we had this huge open room with really not a lot going on. It's just pretty boring, but we're going to add in something that's really going to break up the build and make it look a whole lot nicer. And we're pretty much going to do that by punching a huge hole through the center of this build, add in some glass around it, and then you'll be able to see what we're putting in the center. And this design here is something that I thought would always be super cool to see in a real house. You'll see there's going to be some problems with how we would actually maintain the area if it was in real life, but since we're in Minecraft, it's going to work absolutely perfectly. And that there is going to wrap up our full kind of preparation for getting the area all set up. So what I'm doing next here is just doing this little diagonal pattern to find the center. And the reason we want our center is so we can pop down this little tree sapling. And now we're just filling up the area with all of our messy plants to make it look natural and nice. And I felt like the build just needed one final touch, so I added in a few water spots to make it look all lush. And now we have this beautiful spruce tree centerpiece to fill in the empty space of our big room here. And we could take a quick break from our big builds by making this little corner terrarium, and this one is going to be absolutely jam-packed with plants. And so I kind of imagine this terrarium as one of the ones you see that are the closed systems that people leave for just years, and then they see where they're at after all that time, where everything's just kind of filled with random stuff and you don't even know what's grown anymore, where different things have shown up out of nowhere and all of that. And that actually just made me think maybe we could add a few living creatures just like they always have on those closed to ecosystem terrariums. That's just kind of an idea, maybe a silverfish or something you could pop in here. But yeah, that's kind of everything I have to say on this one. And kind of going back to the 3 potted plant designs we had at the beginning that were all up on the wall, this design is similar to them but it's a whole lot bigger with a whole lot more space to put all of your stuff to. And we got our grass blocks in that our plants will actually be planted on, so from there we're going to do the decorative bits and then also our structural pieces, so our build looks like an actual supported build. And I really like this one as a wall filler for maybe a living room or something, just to really fill up the whole space with plants and decoration. And that one just looks so crazy when it completely fills up the screen like that. And so also what I did there right at the end is placed a string block on top of our warped vine, so it wouldn't grow any taller. So that's just kind of a quick tip on how to stop things from growing. So you could do that for tree sapling, sugarcane, bamboo, a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, that wraps up that build, so we're on to our next. So this one here, you can see we have it all prepped up already with our 3 doorways and then our grass blocks just 1 block below each doorway. And also with those doors, you can see we're dodging each one of them with our glow blocks, and we're just leaving a little bit of room on each side. And I guess I haven't really explained what this build will be yet. So the main focus here is going to be our pathway, because we're going to make this full little river pathway that we can walk right over. But the whole build itself is going to kind of be a full nature enclosure. And there's our pathway connecting up all 3 doors with all of its little wiggles. And that just brings us to filling up our space with our plants once again. So for this one, I'm starting off with some trees kind of in the back of the build, and this is going to kind of give us a nice flow towards the back and make it look a lot bigger than it actually is. Then in front of the trees will be our bamboo, and then past that will mostly just be our grasses, and I'll also be doing kind of a pink color theme for this one, so we'll be adding in all of our pink colored flowers. Oh, and then at this point I was trying to add in some of these big flowers, I forgot what they're called, but I was trying to put those in and I realized you couldn't even put them on leaves. I do think those are definitely something I should have utilized more in this video, so you could definitely try to add those onto some of these builds as an extra little decoration. But with our lantern posts in place, that's going to wrap it up for this build as well as for the video. But before you go, I do want to say a huge thank you for watching to this point in the video. It really means a lot, and if you want to see more builds like this one, I did just do a video on some nether portal builds, as well as some mini builds and even a miniature SpongeBob build. So yeah, if you want to check any of those out, that would be awesome. Well, I'll catch you guys in the next one. More videos coming soon, and see you later.